Hi, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tina. How are you doing today? Welcome back to Anxiety Free. So we covered a lot in the last couple of days. On Thursday, which was the full moon, we covered beliefs. We unraveled them. There's a process that I go through to help unravel them. I shared that with you. Talked about energy protection. We talked about passive versus active living, being aware, being curious, and shifting an attitude from victimhood of things are happening to me to being the victor as things are happening for you. So everything is an opportunity. And if you look at it, things through that lens, then you will see that your anxiety, even though it doesn't feel like it right now, is an opportunity for you to heal something. There's something that's not quite right and you're out of alignment. So we talked about that yesterday as well. Talked about the power of gratitude, which is huge. So it's really important for us to look for positive somewhere along the way, along the path of our journey as human species. We have a tendency, for some reason, to look more for the negative. And it's, I assume, and I'm sure it's documented somewhere, that the ego mind looks for the negative because it's always anticipating fear or something going wrong or danger from the past. So this is our mammalian brain, and it sometimes doesn't always work with us in the now situation where we don't have to worry about those things on a regular basis. But now what we're worried about is more day-to-day stuff. And we go into the negative downward spiral. So we'll talk about this a little bit further. So then we did reduction of releasing a lot of the emotions. We did an energy clearing, which was really fun, and lots of people got lots of great experiences out of that. So that you have to look forward to in the recording if you haven't been live. Then yesterday we talked about law of attraction and manifestation and the duality of life, and how sometimes we are going to be feeling sad at the core of us, but we can still have happy moments within the sadness. So that is a possibility, which is great. And talking about allowing yourself to feel the feelings. I gave you an analogy to do with the balloon and how we need to feel, and release those feelings so they're no longer taking over. We don't have control over our mind. The mind chatter is being quieted, and we're not looking at the past and ruminating. That's a big factor for a lot of people. We keep going over and over and over again in the negative way. So there's a couple reasons why you look at the past, and I shared with you yesterday what those were. And then we ended with an amazing cord cutting exercise in and around the brain, the mind, specific areas within the brain that are connected to trauma, connected to anxiety and overwhelm. And the people at the end felt so much calmer, which is really amazing. This doesn't have to be hard. We talked about that, picking your hard. It can be easier than it has to be, that it already is. So we just want to keep in touch with what's going on with us so that again, it's all about awareness. There's no judgment. There's no criticism. There's no should have done, could have done, just awareness and getting curious. So I've become an investigator. So if I'm not feeling very good, I'll ask myself why. And there's usually a subconscious thought, as we talked about on day one, that we need to unravel, and we need to figure out what it's telling us so that we can figure out why we're feeling not good. So that's your gauge. Your emotions are always your gauge. So why aren't you feeling good in this moment? Why are you feeling anxious in this moment? What thoughts are going through your mind in this moment? And paying attention to what those are. So there was a phase where I was doing a lot of healing, and I was progressing through my journey, and it was so amazing because I could see my ego mind wanting me to stay stuck and holding me back. And my higher self is going, keep going, keep going. So I was still able to, I think I held a masterclass through it. I was promoting the masterclass before it. And my ego mind was just not liking it because we're out of our comfort zone. So we also discussed yesterday the addiction to certain feelings. So when the ego mind is built to keep us safe, and it's built to keep us in our comfort zone. And when we try to go outside the box and edge a little bit beyond that, a lot of times the ego mind will make us sick, or kick up our anxiety, or it will create a relationship issue, or it will create a money issue. There's lots of different ways that the ego mind will all of a sudden pull you into, because you're trying to grow, you're trying to change, you're trying to become a better human being. That's not the right word. A better you, but a better you because you're taking the layers of the crap and all the negative stories, beliefs, identity, and leaving it behind. And so be aware of that. It's going to kick up, and it's natural, it's normal. They actually call it the up level flu. So things can happen and things can come up when you're trying to improve your life and to improve yourself. So that's just, again, it's awareness. So the full moon is also going to kick up a lot of things as well, because it is the full moon and the new moon are the cycles of bringing in what you want and releasing what you don't want. So we have the full moon is the bringing in what we do want. And so today we're going to talk about these things. And we want to also tap into your desires, using your imagination and allowing yourself to dream and dream bigger still. So often, many of us don't dream anymore. Many of us don't use our imaginations for the positive. We use it for the negative. So if you're worrying, you're using your imagination for the negative. If you're future projecting, you're using your imagination for the negative. If you're catastrophizing, you're using the mind or the imagination for the negative. So we want to shift that focus. So instead of going into the downward spiral, which we can do and often do, and especially when we have anxiety, this is what kicks up the anxiety, is we want to shift. So we have 17 seconds for us to stop the thought train of the negative downward spiral. So we can literally stop it. We can breathe through it. We can distract ourselves in shifting the focus on something else. We can do grounding. We can stay present in the moment. There's a number of things that we can do. And so I really recommend, and this is a process that we need to get into a habit of. So when you have this negative downward thought, then we want to stop the momentum. So think of a train. So you have the positive momentum train and the negative momentum train. And the negative momentum train is going, 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 and you're fueling it, and it's still got coal in it, and it's still keep going and whatnot. Eventually, it's going to go if you hit the 64-second mark, because there's a thought that's created another thought, which created another thought, which added to the other thought. So this is momentum. Now, if you've got this and you're able to stop it before that 64-second mark, or even the 17-second mark, then you can bring the positive train, and it's got momentum now. And all of a sudden it's going. And the negative momentum train may not stop, but it might stall because you're not feeding it. You're not putting coal into it. And it's going to slow down, and it's eventually going to stop. And then the positive will continue to move forward. And again, it will continue to have an upward spiral, which is what we want. So again, we have a tendency to do the negative, and that comes really easy for us. So we want to get curious, and we want to control our minds. Now, I've gotten to a point, and you'll get there, where I can stop mid-sentence, and I can look at what I was saying and think, that's old identity. That was happening a couple of months ago. And it takes a minute. So even though you're doing the work and you're making the changes and you're growing and you're expanding and things are getting better, be aware that it needs to become a consistent habit. And so there are days and times where you will fall back because it's not a habit yet. And it's not a subconscious way of living yet. And that's okay. So have compassion on yourself. Allow yourself to go through the experience and know that you can shift it again. So we avoid the negative feelings. Again, not sure where this comes from, but we have a tendency it's the stiff upper lip, it's the suck it up kind of mentality. Oh, you don't want to feel that. You don't want to see people see you cry. You don't want this, you don't want that, because, or I've heard people say to me, oh, if I feel the feelings, I'll cry forever. Well, that's not true. You'll cry maybe for a few days and maybe even a week, but you're not going to cry forever. And there's nothing wrong with crying. Crying is releasing the balloon. So you're taking this balloon that's got so much pressure in it, and it's releasing the valve and allowing it to flow to and through you, allowing yourself to express your feelings. And if you've got people that have hurt you in the past and or have created trauma in your life, forgiveness is going to be really important for you. Not just forgiving the person who did the act to you, but also forgiving yourself. Because there's somewhere along the lines, I almost guarantee, not everybody, but I almost guarantee that most of us have this notion that we should have known better, we should have done better, we should have this, we should have that. And if you should have yourself all over the place, then you need to stop that. Because that's not helpful. We all could have, should have, could have done something somewhere down the line better for ourselves, better for other people. But that's not helpful. It's not constructive. So you want to always do things that are going to be for you and are going to benefit you and the greater good. So the positive upward spiral could be going on a rampage where you're just breathing and you're relaxing, and maybe you're doing a little meditation and you're just saying things like, today's a beautiful day. I'm so grateful for today. I can breathe. My lungs are full. I can smell, I can see, I can taste, I can touch. I can hear the kids in the background laughing and giggling. I have an amazing partner. I have a roof over my head. I have clothes on my back, whatever it is. And you're going general. So then when you go general, then you've got the momentum going. So then you can get into positive affirmations. Maybe you're going to say things like, I'm so excited that I'm feeling healthy and things are getting better and my anxiety is lessening and I'm feeling really good and life is good and everything's okay and you can get into more specifics, but only if it's not going to cause your ego mind to call bullshit. So if your ego mind says, yeah, not so much. No, that's not happening. Who do you think you are? Of course that's not happening. Look at you. Then you've gone too far. You've gone too specific. So stay general. And it could be about other people that you're thankful for and grateful for. And that's okay too. It could be celebrating and thinking about the less frequency of your anxiety. Things are improving. I'm feeling better. Everything's going to be okay. So that phrase, everything's going to be okay, has gotten me through a lot of really dark days. Reminding myself constantly, at the end of the day, everything is going to be okay. We don't know what life has in store for us. We don't know what the universe has in store for us. The universe knows what we want, and it's doing its job to give it to you. We have to be a cooperative component. And that looks like not having wobbles, not having beliefs that are going to actually derail you or keep that negative energy train going in the negative way. This is all in our control. I know sometimes that hurts to hear that. Because it's like we're doing this on purpose and we're creating the trauma and the chaos within our lives that we don't need. And truth is, we kind of are. And not necessarily because we're aware of it. And now you know, so now you can do better, be better. So we are always creating. So what are you creating? Are you going to create more chaos, more struggle, more trauma? Or are you going to create more positive, more happiness, more joy, more things to be grateful for? It is a choice. And like we discussed yesterday, a lot of times we have a tendency to live life passively. So this is when things are happening to us. So we don't want to get into that space. And if we're in that space, then we want to work to undo it. So there was a coach I was working with at the time, and at the beginning of the year, she asked us to take one quality with you for the new year and leave behind a quality you didn't like. And I chose victimhood. And I worked on that for a good year. It may not take you that long, but for me it did, because this is something that I've been ingrained in me, seeing my mother live that way for a long time. And it wasn't always, it was just often enough that I had to keep coming back, keep coming back, and keep coming back. If your desire is anxiety-free, and you are clearly not anxiety free. There's a gap. I've talked about that a lot. And you're going to have peaks where you're going to be okay and valleys where you're not, and peaks you're going to be okay and valleys you're not. The point of it is not to go down as far as you've gone before. Hopefully the valley is a little less, or a little less longer, a little less intense. And then you keep going up, and then you might drop a little bit, and then you keep going up, and then you drop a little bit, and then you keep going up. But we're going through an upward trajectory, even though we've got the valleys. Now, if you're doing the roller coaster ride where you're peaking and things are going good, and then you forget your self-care, you forget to stay grounded, you forget to stay present in the moment, you forget your breathing, and then all of a sudden you're down here, and then you peak again because you take care of yourself and you're doing all the things that you're supposed to do and you're using your tools, and then you're going down again because you get used to feeling good and you forget to use the tools because you don't think you need them anymore, and then you're going down, 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 down. This is the roller coaster ride. So that is more uncomfortable, and it will take longer to fill the gap. A lot longer for it to fill the gap. So we want to, again, be curious. Just pay attention. Pay attention when you're having a bad day. Write it out at the end of your day. What happened? And maybe you were tired. You didn't sleep the night before, so you just let the mind go. And you weren't strong enough or even thinking that you needed to control what your thoughts were. Maybe you had a fight and that set you off. So there's different things that happen in life, and you'll get stronger and your awareness will get stronger to a point where things that are going around you and in your world will have less effect on you. This is the beautiful thing of the work, because all of a sudden somebody can be in your world and they could be yelling in your face, and you're just going to kind of look at them and not be affected. That can happen. So the other thing is staying present. So we often future project, especially when we have anxiety. So this is the overthinking. And we're catastrophizing. So again, we've got that, oh my God, what happens if this happens? And then what if that happens, then what if this happens? And what if that happens, then this happens? And what if that happens and this happens? This is the downward spiral, the catastrophizing. And we're looking into the future. The truth is, we don't know what's around the corner. No matter how positive you are, no matter how in tune you are, we do not know what's around the corner. That's not up to us to know. That's the future. And we need to be in trust and have faith that where we're being led is going to get us where we want to go. So we want to trust that, so that we can continue to move forward and continue the positive train. And having compassion with yourself. If you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. Last Friday, Friday before, I've been in and out of court cases with my ex-husband, and first it was our divorce, and then it's something to do with our old car, and then I had to get an injunction against him because he locked me out of my office and out of the apartment, and it's just been one thing after the other. And I've been doing a lot of energy work, a lot of clearing, and a lot of healing. And that Friday, it all came to a head. And I was bawling and I was allowing it to come to and through me. It surprised me. I wasn't expecting it. I know I was feeling off, but I didn't realize how off I was actually feeling. So I just allowed it. And then I had friends take me out for lunch and I was fine for lunch. And, I was still kind of low key and not feeling great. We had a nice chat. Lunch was lovely, go to the bank and checking some things out. And all of a sudden the waterworks started. My face started leaking and tears are coming. And people are looking at me and they're like, okay. And I said, yeah, okay, just having a bad day. And that's all it was. And it wasn't even that it was a bad day. I was just, because what happened in the injunction actually worked out for me. So it was very positive. But this is something that needed to be released and healed and let go. And I allowed it to happen. So I just dabbed my eyes when I was crying and tears were coming. And the next day I felt better. Not great, but better. And then the day after that, I was feeling wonderful. So when we're doing the work, just be prepared. You're going to have these moments and it's okay. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have good days. And that's part of life. This is the duality of life. You're going to have bad moments and you're going to have good moments. So what I encourage you, a lot of times, again, we make the bad look bigger than it really is. So again, when I was in the program at the beginning of the year, the same coach had got us to look back at our past, the past year. And for me, in my mind, I was saying things like, oh, it was an awful year. It really sucked. I can't believe, blah, blah, blah. And the reason why is because a lot of things were going on in my marriage. And Elton and I were not ending the year in a very positive light. And I can't remember exactly what, but there was a lot of things going on. And so when I did this exercise, so now with her influence, I've been putting events, pictures, it's almost like a journal or a diary on my Facebook page, celebrating things that have gone on. I also, because I have my own practice, I have a diary and I write in the diary different things that we've gone and marked, dinners and again, events and stuff like that. So I'm going over this, and she had us have a cardboard piece of paper, and then put pictures of all the good things that happened that year. And in that year, I had 26 things, and it was only halfway through that were good. My oldest daughter graduated that year. Something happened with my youngest daughter. I can't remember what it was. And there was all these beautiful memories. And I would have missed it and not locked it in and not looked at it because I was so caught up in looking at that one part of my life that was not working very well. So there's many parts of your lives that are working well. I almost guarantee it. So let's look for those things. So what I want you to do for homework is write down at least 10 good things that is going on in your life right now. You're still doing your gratitudes in the morning. You're still doing your gratitudes at night before you go to bed. And write this out. If you're finding a hard time to find 10, then find 5. But I promise you that you probably have 10. It may not seem like it, but I'm sure that there's something that you can find. We've got to shift our focus from the negative to the positive. This is how we unravel this and take back control of our minds and our emotions. Deciding today to drop it and let it go. And you don't have control of what the future looks like. And if you don't trust and have faith, that's part of the issue. So hopefully yesterday's energy clearing around the pineal gland, especially cutting the cords that are keeping you disconnected from your spirit, from your God self, from your source, inner being, will help. Because we're always being guided if we're quiet enough to listen and use our intuition and our instincts. Okay. So I'm going to get you to close your eyes. And we're going to do an inner child guided meditation. You might feel lots of things. You might feel nothing. You might see things. You might hear things. You might see things. You might just know. Trust it. Use your imagination. Allow yourself to be open to seeing and feeling and going on this journey. So get nice and comfy, feet flat on the ground. Change your breathing, belly breathing, box breath for 4, inhale for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and pausing for 4. And then get you nice and grounded, doing this box breath 4 or 5 times. Hold. Exhale and pause. And while you're doing that, I'm going to get you to envision roots coming from your feet and the bottom of your seat, going down, down, down into Mother Earth, wrapping around a large, beautiful crystal of choice. Setting the intention that with every exhale, you're releasing and letting go of what no longer serves you. I'm going to get you to be walking along the path. We're in a forest or by a beach, wherever you're seeing. And you're walking along this pathway. And you're looking at the birds and the trees and the sound maybe of the ocean or a river in the background. Seeing the butterflies flitting around. Hearing kids giggling in the back. And as you're walking along, a little off into the distance is your inner being, your childlike self. And he or she is sitting on a bench or a chair or a lounger. What do they look like? Are they happy? Are they sad? What are they wearing? How are they feeling? Just observe. And what are your thoughts about your inner being? How are you feeling towards them? And you get a little closer, a little closer. And they look up at you. What is their expression on their faces? Is it happiness and joy for seeing you? Is it sadness and grief? Is it anger? Is it anger? Or are there low-level feelings of resentment, maybe some bitterness? And you step a little closer. So you're right beside them or in front of them. And they have a message for you. And again, if you don't hear anything, you're not seeing or you're not knowing, it's okay. Just trust. Taking a nice deep breath. Maybe they're reaching out their hands to you. Maybe you want to hug them. If you want to touch them and hug them, ask for permission. And maybe you have something to say to them, either in rebuttal to what they've said to you or just a message you have to say to them. And they open your arms to you, and you give each other a nice big hug. Maybe you need to say sorry. Maybe ask for forgiveness. I know this is from a child mind, child perspective. We talked about perspective the other day. And if they're upset at you, don't take it personally. It's meant for you to be personal, but it's also not, again, not a criticism, it's an awareness. And you release each other from the hug. And she is a gift for you, or he. They're holding it out in their hand. You take it and open it. And you can share with us in the comments later, if you want, what they gave you. And if you know what the significance is. And maybe you're crying, and maybe they're crying. And it's a good release. It's a release of acceptance of forgiveness, of love. You hug each other one last time or hold each other's hand. And ask her if she has one last message for you. Or he, sorry. You go about your business. And you start walking away, saying goodbye. Maybe you're waving or laughing and joking and playing a little bit. And you're walking down the path that you came. And bring your awareness back to your body, wiggle your toes and your feet. And you can let me know in the comments how that felt. And then you can do the homework of the 5 to 10 things that you are good in your life. And keep doing the gratitudes in the morning and the evening. If you need to journal things out, journal things out. Whatever works for you. But allow yourself to feel into the positive feelings. Always want to look for the positive feeling thought, positive thing to do. Make something, go do something that you love to do that you haven't done in a while. When you have anxiety, a lot of people, avoid going out, avoid hanging out with friends and family because they're embarrassed or they're afraid they're going to have an attack. You're not that person anymore. So if you do, you're going to be okay. But you can just simply go do the belly breaths, go off by yourself if you're not feeling comfortable to involve other people. And be that new you, the you that is anxiety free. So tomorrow we start at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 GMT time. So hopefully you'll be joining me then as well. And Monday is at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard and 7 o'clock GMT. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and have a blessed day. Take care. Bye.